Hi, hello, welcome back. I'm so glad to be here. I had a really productive day. So I was getting myself all psyched out for some reason before I came on, but no worries. I was just reading this article in Utah Stories magazine, and I posted in my links for today. I posted a link to Book Odyssey channel about who is Ursula Le Guin. I'd never heard of her before. And so it was funny. I was opening this. This came in the mail. And they always include really cool stamps. So I wanted to look at the stamp. And it's Ursula. And so I found that interesting. I posted a link to introduce you to her. She passed away in 2018. But I'd never heard of her before, and she was a science fiction writer, and so I really look forward to finding her books. And that was a nice little surprise that I got today. And then also, in the April Utah Stories mag, I read this article in a section called Strong Women of Utah. Lisa Foreman of Legends Pub and Grill, How One Woman's Perseverance Led to Success by Amy Maxwell and Connie Lewis. The restaurant and bar industry is tough to break into and even tougher to make successful. Lisa Foreman, owner of Legends Pub and Grill, tried her own strategy and it paid off. I don't really pay attention to anybody else. I'm not a part of the industry and I just focus on what I'm doing, she says. Foreman first opened Legends after leaving her corporate job in sales at Automatic Data Processing. Her experience there helped her start Legends. She had made good contacts, and the sales techniques she learned helped her to sell herself and her business. In addition to being told constantly that her business would fail, a man in the industry told her that our industry is cutthroat and it's hard to thrive here if you don't belong to our group. She persevered anyway and proved him wrong. Lisa and her husband Dave started their business with their life savings rather than through loans or investors. She said they did have some help from family along the way. You make a few mistakes because you don't know what you're doing and everything costs more than you planned on, she explains. But their hard work paid off and they've been able to grow the business and pay back their life savings. In building her business, Foreman chose to ignore others' advice and just focus on what resonated best with her, which included an emphasis on service, caring about others, and paying more than the industry standard. When I've followed who I am completely, I've been successful. But when I've strayed away from that, I haven't been as successful, she says. Using big venues has paid off as well. Although the Sandy location seems bigger, it is about the same size as the downtown location, just with a different layout. Both were former Iggy's. They found the first building on their own, then approached Dave, the owner of Iggy's in Salt Lake, and acquired that space. When Iggy's was closing in Sandy, he approached the Foremans to see if they were interested. By then, they had formed a friendship, and both locations have been successful. Lisa said she had always wanted to own her own business. My dad had a small restaurant in Ashton where I grew up and always thought it would be fun to own a bar and restaurant. Excuse me. Then I got into it and all the problems and long hours came along. Now that her business is successful, Lisa said the next phase for her is helping others. She mentors and advises her employees with the aim to help them get a start or take over for her and Dave when they retire. She recalls one employee who was on drugs and had lost her sons. They helped her straighten out her life and get her boys back. That help is now my main purpose, she says. They call me Mama Bear. Foreman's advice for other women looking to get into the restaurant and bar business is this. Not only do you have to be strong, but you also have to believe in yourself and believe you can do anything you want to do, she says. You should expect to get bullied a little bit, so you need the confidence to stick up for yourself, and in doing so, you will earn some respect along the way. So that was just the thing I needed to get me started with today's video, and that was not originally planned, but I wanted to give a shout out to my cousin Richard, the publisher, editor of Utah Stories magazine in Utah. And he has worked really hard along with his whole family, and he's really been leading this charge for local journalism. So I think he originally started it as like a sort of lifestyle magazine, but he has started to do some podcasts and has a YouTube channel. And so in the description, I also link to a post he just made called How the Media Silences the Truth and Gives Voluminous, good word, lies, the power of truth arises. So that was a really good piece by Richard, and he doesn't sponsor the channel, but I just wanted to tell you about how proud I am of his work. And so check out the Utah Stories channel. Also, I included something that I've been watching. I haven't watched all 11 available episodes, but I've gotten up to episode 9 of by the Free People's Movement from Sweden. They have 11 episodes called The Best Kept Secret of the Deep State. So I've been finding that a really interesting take on the whole thing. And I'm not here trying to present any points of view insofar as I'm, any of these links that I may provide are just to show you what I'm consuming right now. And I don't really ascribe to those things 100%, but I'm considering them. So that's what this space is really for. Okay, I'm never trying to cram other people's opinions down your throat as if I believe in them. But I hope this becomes a great exchange of just these different ideas and poking holes in everything that we're consuming. So I really look forward to just continuing the conversation. And, and I also included one more link in today's show. It was a conversation from my one of my favorite channels called Beyond Room 313. Timony, Jason, Thomas, and a few others joined in conversation to talk about the Witches' Sabbath 2022. It was just an interesting exchange, and I just watched that this evening. So I wanted to share that with you. I think that their conversation around the subject of magic and how we can use it in our daily lives like it already exists. So, how my analysis anyway, my takeaways from the conversation was just that we truly try not to do harm to others. If it's sort of like taking this defensive approach if you have to, but if you can just dispel the energy away from you, I want to get to the place in my heart where it's really easy for me to just wish well of those that may wish ill on me. And then also I just want to stop caring in the first place, because maybe they don't really care about me as much as I think. Maybe they're just way more concerned with themselves. So those are the things I've been pondering lately. The strong message I've been being sent is not to start looking in all the places to blame all of our problems. Although it is nice to see, say, if you're looking at a piece of machinery, it's nice to see the flaw in your designs. Okay, but you're not going to scream at the engineer that he built a shoddy product. You might have done ill. You might not have kept up with the maintenance on the machine. You might have let it get really dirty or rusted or whatever. It might be user error, when it comes to the machine. And so when you look at societies and how they've been built up and fallen, I think that's why we study history. And when you begin to get older, I think that's when you really get more passionate about certain things. Uh, you can have interests as a child and maybe even devoted interest to them. And if you're lucky, you can maintain those the rest of your life. But I just wonder how sometimes we build up that, whatever we do is our identity. And I've been trying to talk to my daughter about this as a 9-year-old, just that when you feel like you have a certain identity based on just one thing, that's really limiting. So, let's not do that to ourselves. And I think that's where our society's gone wrong in a lot of ways. We encourage people to build their identity upon, some level of success. That nowadays the bar just keeps raising higher and higher and higher. I just watched this random YouTube house tour of the most expensive home for sale in Utah. And it just makes me think, man, that would be a lot of maintenance. I sure wouldn't want to be responsible for that house and mess it up, because it's beautiful. It's more like a piece of art or an object than it is something to like live in and enjoy. And I am kind of falling in love more and more every day with my old little house and working on making it my own. And today was a wonderful time spent in the garden, and I was transplanting tulips. I thought it was a really good time to do that because they are just starting to wilt, and I can still see the colors of the tulips that I was digging up today, and where I'm going to plant more things closer to the street. And I've made my home, my garden space, a nursery. And it's so exciting year after year when I discover my successes. I forget the failures because, oh, boom, there are some pink tulips in the mix, or, oh, this plant did really well. I can successfully divide it and share it freely with people, because all it took me was waiting, just time. And if I have 500 bulbs, it's really easy to just give some away. And I figure a lot of my plants, my perennials, I've acquired for free from others. And so it's really nice to be excited about all those things as we go into summer. And I was moving some mulch around, and I was planning on some new spaces where I'm going to plant today. So I started soaking my second batch of peas. I planted a really early batch, and I prepared a space today, so I'll plant some peas tomorrow. But yeah, I've just been feeling really good and appreciating the process. I can't tell you, like, there's so many things that I've said and done and thought and believed that, it's amazing that moment when it strikes me that, oh, I see what was wrong with that. And rather than feeling shame, regret, etc., it's like, oh, well, I needed that lesson. You know, that's where I was at that point. And I needed that lesson. So I can't regret that I did something and it turned out to be wrong or took me in a different direction. I needed those lessons. So I'm trying to keep my eyes peeled for those signs. And I think they're coming faster and faster because I'm caring for myself in a better way. I'm nourishing myself in a new way. It's like putting compost in the garden. It's building compost. It's taking the time to save seed and to have patience enough for something to be ready to be planted out in the garden. A lot of the things I'm starting to grow now, they're not as easy as, you know, the sunflowers, which just pop themselves up year after year. I'm trying to get better about being mindful of these more delicate plants, these more needy plants, starting trees from seed, for example, where you're going to sprout the tree and you're going to have to pot it up and keep it alive in a pot for a few years before you plant it out in the garden in a lot of cases. So, and I've had successes and failures, and it did hit me years ago that it's nice to have 99 failures because that one success means so much. And I just keep thinking about my my luck. And the best phrase I've heard about luck, the one that I identify with, is opportunity meeting preparedness. So I really look forward to more of those opportunities. Even if I have to be patient for it, I think that's a valuable lesson. So I'm really feeling quite good. When I was just about to log in, my heart was racing and I was psyching myself out. But I think reading that article helped calm me down a little bit, get me into a groove. So yeah, thanks for going through this journey with me. It's wild. It's been wild for me. Coming out of my shell, learning about myself. I've been waking up in like terrible moods. I've been getting really angry at the noise all around me. The air traffic up above has been insanely loud. Lawnmowers, leaf blowers, yada yada, edgers, street construction, a house down the street being built. There have been all these sounds that have been driving me nuts. And I was teasing with my kids the other day. I said, well, I know that I get impatient and I ask you guys to be quiet all the time, but I live for being annoyed by the kids. As stupid as it is, I mean, they're loud and it's hard to think. But of course, I want them around, and when they're away from me, like they're with their grandparents today, I find that I can't relax as fully as when I can hear them right next door banging on the walls, goofing off, running down the hallways and running around the yard. And so I'm just really happy about where we're at right now. That's everything. That's what I'm going to focus on when everybody's talking about this certain doom and gloom and trying to predict the futures and stuff like that. I think sometimes it's good to just step back and make sure that you're just not becoming a part of it. So I may reframe how I do all of these presentations in the future. But I am just sharing some of these things with you as a gauge and perspectives. So that's why I think I'm going to continue to post some links to some maybe controversial things, maybe some shocking, weird, unusual perspectives, just because I want us to all get on with the vocabularies of all the different people. We think about language and culture, but we don't really think about industry speak and jargon and, uh, all the different languages we invent, within our own, just within English. So I think that's why it's important to study what other people are talking about, because it's like code. It's like not code in the sense of computer programming, but code as in, when I say the Jabberwocky, I'm not talking about an old story. We invent all these code words when we're living in a time of censorship. And frankly, we've always been under this kind of duress, probably ever since, like an original Silk Road was built, or people first built ships and went and conquered other, lands. We've probably never been in times of perfect peace, but I'm sure after a lot of battles, people came to agreements and compromises and decided, okay, you do your work there, I'll do my work there. We're good. And, it's just like I was looking back at my own family history in the city where I live. And I have my oldest relatives from this place. I'm not sure about the entire branches of my family trees, but I traced back all the women. So my mom's 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 mom's. So I went back to 1860. My first two relatives that I know of coming just down the street from where I live. They were able to purchase 50 acres for like $12 in 1860. So I'm not sure how many kids they had. I think they had 5 sons. And so at least those kids, they got a chunk of that land. And then eventually that land was sold, like when my mom was in college or something. My grandma helped my mom pay for college when the family sold that land in the 1970s, so about 100 years later. So yeah, 1860 to 2022. I have some deep roots here, but I haven't really known much of our family stories. So I've been wanting to reconnect with that, and I just found it really interesting to be able to track back pretty easily just doing Google searches, because a lot of those relatives are at the cemetery, and they had some gravestone markers, and there were some Murray City photos of 2 of my old relatives from, the 1800s. So pretty cool. And I've been wanting to get into that and just study my kinfolk. So if nothing else, just to keep a record for my own kids. So I'm really happy with where I am right now, mentally, physically. So I thank you for sharing this time with me. And I don't know what we're going to be talking about the next time I join you. But we'll come up with something. My brain's always turning. So, yeah, I look forward to talking again real soon.